Hey guys, Salt Princess here, and today I wanted to talk to you about a new character that I'm working on in Path of Exile's 3.11 Harvest League, and I'm having quite a bit of fun with it, if I'm being perfectly honest. We are currently now bear with me, because this is not your conventional Path of Exile build name, right? Usually it's skill, ascendancy, or skill, class, ascendancy, or something like that, right? Well, this is an overwhelming Berserker, okay? It utilizes Earthquake, War Cries, and a mechanic called Overwhelm, which was previously a portion of the Impale support and other Impale notables. This is essentially physical damage mitigation reduction that you can apply to your enemies. You overwhelm their physical damage mitigation. So I'm just messing around with two-handed weapons and slam skills, and I saw that Overwhelm appeared to be abundant on the passive tree, and it sounded as though it was something that was going to be very, very powerful for the kind of slam build that I wanted to do. So I built into initially Earth Shatter, which is really good and a lot of fun, especially with leveling. So just keep it in the back of your mind while I'm explaining the Earthquake build that I made, because you can make this exact same character and just switch Earthquake for Earth Shatter, and it's a slightly different playstyle. It's very good and it's very fun, but for the exact purpose of what I wanted to do, which is the biggest, heaviest, singular melee hit, I had to use Earthquake, and I'll explain why now. So, as I said, the War Cries got reworked, right? So I'm currently running Seismic Cry, Infernal Cry, and Intimidating Cry, as well as, actually, Enduring Cry. And this is just to keep me tanky, because I'm a Berserker, and I'm not tanky. I'm actually pathetic. So let's talk about this. So Seismic Cry. The idea with the build, as I said, is to utilize these War Cries to make the biggest singular melee hit that I possibly can. So Seismic Cry is the catalyst. The most important line on this Seismic Cry, it says exerted attacks deal 30% more damage per previous exerted attack, right? So what's an exerted attack? You use your War Cry, and once you've used your War Cry, you get charges on the actual War Cry itself, and these charges are expended every single time you press the button. And so what Seismic Cry is doing is it's giving you 30% more damage, and that stacks every time you expend one of these charges. So the first hit is 30, the second hit is 60, the third hit is 90, this hit is 120, and the final hit is actually 150% more damage. And the cool thing about doing this with Earthquake is not only does it scale up the initial hit with the Earthquake, but it also scales up the Aftershock, because the Aftershock is based on the initial hit. So why did I choose Earthquake? Well, Earthquake built into the skill gem itself, it says the Aftershock deals 100% more damage with hits, right? So what I'm doing is I'm War Crying. I'm getting the 30% more damage with every subsequent hit, right? It's 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. And then I'm also using Intimidating Cry. And so this creates a really interesting attack rotation. Kind of a lot like playing like a Retribution Paladin from World of Warcraft, if you're familiar with that. You have to press your buttons at a specific interval, and there's like a sequence of attacks, right? You get a hit, there's a proc, okay, I gotta press the different button now, and then you go back to your main attack. So you get kind of you're pressing multiple different buttons, but you're doing it in like a rhythm and a pattern that's predictable, right? So why Intimidating Cry? Intimidating Cry used to do something completely different. We're not gonna worry about it. It gives you 3 exerted attacks that deal double damage, right? So that's just a straight up 100% more damage, right? That's what double damage is, essentially. It's 100% more. You doubled it. So the ideal rotation for this character is you start off combat, with your Seismic Cry, you swing your mace 2 times, bringing your remaining charges down to 3. Once you have 3 remaining charges, then you use your Intimidating Cry. And so you're getting your 90, your 120, and your 150 more modifier. And that's being doubled by the Intimidating Cry. And so from that point, you have a very big hit, you have an even bigger hit, and then here's the kicker. Here's the really fun thing. I was watching a Don the Crown video, and Don the Crown said you can do some crazy stuff with Infernal Cry, because Infernal Cry, rather than just marking all the enemies in an area and then having them explode when you deal a damaging attack to them, now it gives you a thing called Combust. So when you actually, I'm not going to press it right now because I want to show you something, but when you press Infernal Cry, it gives you 5 stacks of exerted attacks as well. But the first one, when you actually do the War Cry itself, everything that gets marked by the War Cry will explode enormously for a very large percentage of fire damage. Not only do you get an additional more multiplier to the physical damage that you apply, but 60% of that damage is converted to fire damage, and then all the enemies explode for 8% of their maximum life as more fire damage. So it's crazy, and it's based on your AoE, which as a 2-handed mace character is rather large. And so if you do this rotation just properly, you can basically one-shot anything in the game if you do it just right. And so what you do with this final attack, and don't worry, I'll do the rotation again a couple more times. What you do with the final attack is when you have only 1 exerted attack remaining on your Seismic Cry, and if you have any, it doesn't actually matter if you fuck up the rotation, but what's most important is when there's 1 hit left with Seismic Cry, as long as you also have Intimidating Cry up, you slam your EQ, and then you, after the fact, you lay the Earthquake down, and then before it erupts, you press your Infernal Cry. Now, why is this important? It says Combust. Combust only does the explosion based on the first hit that actually hits, and the first hit has to come after the cry itself. And so why is that important? It's because the aftershock deals 150% more damage than the actual initial Earthquake hit. So to get the most out of your explosion, you want to actually have that first hit of the explosion come from the aftershock of your Earthquake, which is better anyways because it also has a bigger area. So the ideal rotation, again, you do 1 Seismic Cry, 2 swings, followed up with an Intimidating Cry. You do 2 more Intimidating Cries, and then on the final one, you Intimidating Cry, or I'm sorry, you slam, and then you use your Infernal Cry. Like that. And so this causes some insane damage. So there's another thing going on with this. I mentioned Overwhelm. So let's talk about Overwhelm and why it's good. So I'm building this character as a pure Fizz character. We're doing 2-handed maces, and we're only stacking flat and percentage Fizz. And we're not even actually all that concerned with attack speed. It's nice for quality of life, but it doesn't actually mean much. So Forceful Skewering has Overwhelm, which is an Impale node. So that presents an interesting issue for us. But other than that, we have martial experience. Then we have kinetic impacts and spine crusher. These are the mace notables that actually allow you to overwhelm. There are more overwhelm nodes over here, but if you take all of the overwhelm percentages, you have what? 10%. Then you have 12 more, so that's 22. And then from there, you have another 15. So this is 37. And then you have another 12. So this is what, 49% of your enemy's physical damage mitigation is completely overwhelmed. And then on your Impale support gem, you also overwhelm, where is it? I'm sorry. You also overwhelm 30% more of that physical damage reduction. And so keep in mind that actually, if you utilize your Intimidating Cry during this sequence, based on the power the number of enemies that are present when you Warcry, you'll overwhelm anywhere between 5 and 30% more of their physical damage mitigation. So in the scariest and gnarliest of situations, you actually can overwhelm more than 100% of the enemy's physical damage mitigation. So that's crazy. On top of the fact that you're dealing, I didn't mention, the 150% more damage multiplier built in with Earthquake's Aftershock, the 150% more damage that you get with your final hit, your final exerted hit from Seismic Cry. That's 300% more damage multiply. You can double that, right? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then the crazy thing about that I didn't mention is you're getting 600% more damage from these things. You're also getting more damage from this, but we're not going to talk about this. This is basically just another double damage, but it's only for the one hit, as far as I'm aware, based on my understanding of it. But the other thing that's crazy is that two more things. The Fists of War support, when you deal your Empowered Slam with a level 20 Fists of War, that is another 150% more damage on that Empowered Slam. So if that final hit is empowered, you deal 150% more damage here, 150% more damage here, and then 150% more damage here, and then you double that. That's 450% more damage doubled. That's 900% more damage. Then on top of that, you're also getting another double damage multiplier, essentially, from Shockwave. Shockwave is essentially a double damage support gem. Now, you only get a certain number of charges, so it's not always up, so it's unreliable. But it is basically a double damage multiplier again. So it's 2 hits for every 1 hit. And this gets buffed with every single one of your Warcries as well. It is affected by your Warcries. That's crazy. So let's go check out how it feels. So as I said, you just gotta layer and sequence these things just right. And I've already messed up my first rotation, so we're Seismic Crying, we're doing 1, 2, we're doing our Intimidating Cry, we're doing 1, 2, and now we're slamming and exploding.
My mana is gone.
So I got 3 charges of my Seismic. I now have my Intimidating up. 1. I'm dead. I'm actually dead. Oh god. I got stuck. The Leap Slam is so buggy. I got stuck in the wall. It scared me. So where's my Seed Cache? Seed Cache is where I wanted to end this, so I'm really blessed that the Seed Cache is right at the beginning. So the coolest part about this build, oh god, Arc. Arc is the scariest thing in the game to me right now. Okay. So I have my three remaining stacks of Seismic Cry. I'm just gonna get my Intimidating Cry up, so we're ready. And then somewhere in here, I have a full craft ready. So check this out. So remember, I said that this Infernal Cry can be a really crazy hit, right? So we're gonna burn one of these right now. Then we're gonna open this. We're gonna burn one, burn another, and then cry. That didn't work out exactly the way that I had hoped that it would, but hopefully it's pretty clear that in a, you know, I think it's a tier 14, possibly tier 15 map. That's pretty strong. It's a pretty strong thing to do. It's pretty nice. Not gonna trip out on that too hard. So maybe there's one more. Maybe there's another one I could show you. Good. So just to really, oops, I messed it up. So just to really bring this home, burning 2 of those, making sure that Seismic Cry has 3 remaining exerts and Intimidating Cry has 3 remaining exerts. At this point, you can just start it. I like to slam one empowered hit down, slam another one down, and cry, and one-shot the encounter. And now, just to make sure that we're clear, those are all big seeds. They were all 82 seeds. 81 and 82 seeds. They're fine seeds. You know, I'm not using like baby dick level 67 seeds to impress you and whatever. I'm streaming over on twitch.tv /saltprincess with an underscore. I actually one-shot a tier 2 and 3 primal earlier with this same setup. It's pretty cool. It's really enjoyable. And you could do pretty much the exact same combo as I mentioned at the beginning of this video with Earth Shatter. And I don't actually like Earth Shatter for it. Now trust me, the explosions from the Earth Shatter do actually every single spike actually gets affected by the Warcry, so don't worry. It's still really good. But for the Impaler node that I took, we're applying 4 stacks of Impale with every single one hit. If we time this just right on certain encounters, we can make that initial hit the aftershock of our Earthquake. If we do it just right, so we get an even bigger Impale. But we're limited to only 4 Impales every 4 seconds or something like that, so it's just the one hit every 4 seconds. I think it's a lot better for clearing. I think it's really bad for Earth Shatter, so if you wanted to do this build with Earth Shatter, don't take the Impaler. That's the only thing I'd really change. And I'm gonna try my best to remember to actually post my POB in the description. It's not the final form. I'm sure there's a lot of alterations that could be made to make this build way better than what it is in my hands. But this build very much suits my liking. I think it's fantastic, and I've been really enjoying putting more and more effort and more time into it. I will say, between about level 83 and 80, or I'm sorry, about 83 and 90, I struggled really hard. There is a hill. There's a hill. We'll call it that. 1, 2, cry. 1, 2, hit, cry. It's really fun. It's really fun. And effective. Once again, I'm streaming over on twitch.tv /saltprincess with an underscore at the end of it. This is my overwhelming Berserker. And I like it a lot. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. I hope you guys are taking care of the people around you. If you get the opportunity to, try and do something nice for somebody, because wow, it's been a crazy year. Bye.